the perception was that the man was the boss. So I think partnerships kind of took certain roles and partners took certain roles based on what clients' expectations were, not based on what individual aspirations were.
I still remember, I have these vivid memories of all those tools which I used in architecture school, but no one seems to be using them now. The set square, the T-square, the rotoring pens.
Some people have not even heard of.
Karan, like, what is that?
Cleaning the rotoring pens was a sort of a ritual.
To be very honest, we've had kids who've come into the studio with great portfolios, but there's just no drive, right? And if there's no drive and passion, you're only going to get that far.
Like you need fire in the belly, right? And I feel that's the hardest thing to find. Obstacles are like a series of emotions, right? You have an up and a down. But if you look at them with equal amount of sort of balance, that some days there are things that shit is going to happen that's going to make you happy, and some days stuff is going to happen that is going to be slightly unhappy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Shu Khabar with KD, and this episode we've got one of the favorites, the famous Reds, Rajiv, Ekta and Myli. This entire season 1 is sponsored by Purple Patch, and we are going to take you on a roller coaster, a journey right from their childhood to their education and from where they started off, the Red Architects. So stay tuned and let's have fun. Hey guys, this is architect Karan Desai, and today on our Shu Khabar platform we've got the famous Reds, Rajiv, Myli and Ekta. Thank you guys so much for coming over.
Thank you.
And I heard that this is once in 500 years that this happens, that all three are aligned on the same platform.
Yes, you have
Very
made the
difficult.
impossible happen.
Like the Halley's Comet.
So we quickly want to know and understand, before we start our question answer round and try to understand about the partnership and your ideas and advices for our people, I want to know your life journeys. Okay, so Raji, why don't we start with you, right from your childhood days, and what got you to take architecture as a profession until you started Red?
So childhood days I went to St. Mary's, which was an all-boys school, and so lots of raging hormones by the time I got out of there. But yeah, so school was great. I think it was a phenomenal experience. Not that I had a benchmark to compare it with, but I think what I took away from it was it's a school which really makes you tough, right? It's not soft. Your classmates, everyone is gonna, if there's anything they can give you a hard time about, they're gonna go after you. No one is kind of nice to each other. Everyone is brutal. But which effectively means that you never seek validation. You never, at least how it acted on me, is that no accomplishment was going to get praises. That's just rubbish. So I think that's what I took away from it, and of course a lifetime of friends. But having said that, I also bumped into the carpentry workshop in the 7th to 10th grade. And those 3 years I really sort of fell in love with working with wood and just working with my hands and really getting down and dirty. And I think that stayed with me as a sense of detail of how materials behave when you work with them. So that was some kind of knowledge in this direction, which at that point I had no clue. But somewhere along between the 10th and 11th is where I really figured out that I wanted to be an architect. Which was thanks to Fountainhead, as cliched as it is, and thanks to someone in the family who was also into design at that point. Then I went to Xavier's, which I crawled into Xavier's because I had got 79.5 and I would have landed up in Wilson College, which might have been a whole other trajectory. But so there was the third list, and then the fourth list was where these guys, the cutoff was 80, and we were a bunch of us, 2 other friends of mine, both went to architecture school also. Kunal and Milind, and we all got in that same 79.5 list. So Xavier's was actually starting to a newer Rajiv, because I was a short kid in school. Used to oil my hair, spectacles of course from back then. But then I suddenly, like over 3 months, I became taller. And then I did, genuinely. I became dramatically taller in those 3 months. And then I kind of also took to Malhar, which was this whole creative endeavor, and I took to it more than I took to the academia in Xavier's, and I sort of that made me a far more outgoing person, far more social, allowed me to engage with a lot of pretty girls because I was from Myli, so I hadn't had the opportunity. But it also kind of allowed me to work in collaborative environments, to take the lead on some things and then follow in some cases, put together this large event as a group of young kids. So it was phenomenal. I think I got lower grades in my 12th standard because of that. But I'm still grateful to that. I think it set the stage for me being able to work with a whole bunch of people across varied expertises. And by then I'd figured out I wanted to do architecture, but I still chose to, before I got admission in Rachna, I got admission at SEPT SID, which is School of Interior Design, not School of Architecture. And I think that was really fabulous. I stuck around there when I got admission because of a girl. So I kind of thought that was the love of my life back then. But that lasted for all of about 8 days. But by then I'd given up my Rachna admission. So I hammered through a year at SID.
Oops.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, I made some lifelong friends. I think Krishna Shastri was the dean at SID, is still an inspiration to me. Just in terms of how she approached design, how she spoke, how she conducted herself. And cut to, between SID and I'd decided I was moving back to Bombay. And I'd also spoken to Sen Kapadia, who let me attend a few classes at Kamla Reja. But in the interim was Ekta's birthday party, which my friend who got in on the 79.5% list was by then in architecture school with her. And he called me along just to set up the decoration of this yacht slash
Yacht is
launch.
a very glamorous word. It was a barge.
Yeah, it was a barge launch from Gateway of India. So I was only supposed to do the decoration and leave, but Ekta's parents felt a little sad for me and said, Beta, you can come for the party also, So I went back and I changed into this shiny green shirt, which I had back then, which I thought was cool. It was ugly as hell.
He remembers that.
Yeah,
I remember that too.
Yeah, it was that bad. But yeah, so I went back for that birthday party, and at that point I said, okay, if she's in Kamla Reja, I'm going to go to Kamla Reja. So a lot of women-oriented decisions in my life, but
Path-breaking decisions based on women.
but this one did last 7 days. It's kind of been 20 odd years or more, and
Wow.
so that was a long strategy. But that's us, and then I went to do my pretty much back-to-back. She graduated a year earlier. And while she was working at Vandana Ranjit Singh, I continued to finish my thesis and all of that. Or we continued to finish my thesis. But cut to then I got into Pratt, and we made the choice to go to 2 different architectural schools, even though we got into both. Both of us got into both. So she chose UPenn and I chose Pratt. And that sort of started that journey there, where we did an architectural sort of master's in design and theory. And then we moved back pretty much after 3 years of working. Yeah, 3 years of working there.
Wow.
And that was the pre-read phase. And then we conceived that we either had the opportunity to start my own practice in New York with my boss there. But I felt that if I started working there, then that would be hard to sort of abandon something that you've nurtured, and sort of, even if it's grown a little bit, you don't want to dump it and then move back. So towards that choice, and we had a project here of 80 square foot bathroom to do.
110.
Sorry, 110 square foot bathroom to do after a master's. So,
Wow.
which was thanks to a really dear friend of Ekta's mom. And so we moved back, and that was the birth of Red.
Nice. Interesting. So, coming to Myli, okay, we know that your parents were architects.
Yes, so I'm very much a Marathi mulgi
Yeah.
from Mumbai, not from the south, not from the east, not from the north. Grew up in Bombay in a joint family. I think that was the base for me to enjoy collaborations, because there's always a tussle in a joint family and you have to figure it out. But you learn to love it so much that I think has fed into the fact that I'm in this amazing practice. Grew up in Bombay, went to St. Columba, which is a girls' school, like he was in a boys' school. But my parents were both architects, so I was exposed to the world of design, architecture. I used to love all those tools. The Shera, mom and dad used to, do puja of them. I still remember, I have these vivid memories of all those tools which I used in architecture school, but no one seems to be using them now. You know, the set square, the T-square, the rotoring pens. So I think
Some people have not even heard of.
Yeah. Karan's like, what is that? Huh?
cleaning the rotoring pens was a sort of a ritual. We had a carpentry workshop in the back of my house. I'm fortunate, privileged enough to have grown up in a heritage home that belongs to my family even now. It's 140
Beautiful home.
years
We
old.
should have her invite you over.
Yeah, why wouldn't you invite me?
With Mangalore tiles, and back in the day we even had gobar on the floor, which is now changed because we don't get gobar anymore. So I've seen that house change.
And a well and everything.
Yeah, we have a well.
Where is all this?
Yeah,
Girgaon.
French Bridge, Girgaon.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
Girgaon
wonderful.
Chowk.
It's absolutely
She's a landlord.
People would kill for that property, yeah.
People have tried to kill her.
It belongs to a family. My point was to my family. My point was that I've been always exposed to the art of building, architecture, materiality. Our vacations used to be driving through India, going to the smallest of places in Rajasthan or Maharashtra, and observing the architecture. So I think I knew, although my brother's not an architect, I think my love for architecture sort of stemmed from there. Then I did a year in Rachna, where I made the best of friends. That first year of architecture, everything is new. Although you've been exposed to architecture, the idea of living, being in the studio and people are doing cool things. Although Rachna was right next to Lower Parel station at that point in a municipal school. We used to get off at the station and walk on those tracks. I remember, but these are memories. These are memories that make you. Then for the second year onwards, I moved. I was fortunate enough to get into CEPT for an architecture school. CEPT, of course, is a whole state of mind for me. My undergrad years in Ahmedabad were, I think, key building blocks in my life as an architect. The professors, my peers, staying nights in the campus. It's a small class, so it's a class of 28, and you end up staying at the campus to do any work. Like studio was your life, so you knew people 5 years older than you, and you knew people 5 years younger than you. So it was just a state of mind. That whole those 5 years or 5+ years that I was in Ahmedabad. In terms of grounding the fundamentals of architecture, our professors were phenomenal. Professor Raje, Professor Varki, they really put the love and fear of bad details, the love for good architecture and bad details into us. From there, they sort of said, we've brought you so far. So if you want to go more current, go out and experience. That's just exactly what I did. I worked with Vandana and Ranjit in Bombay, where I met Ekta. And then moved on to New York, which was an amazing explosion of, to all my senses. I did my master's in urban design at Columbia University. So the change of scale from architecture to urban design, change of geography from Bombay to New York, change of people that I was familiar with for 5 years, cut to New York, where there were people from all walks of life, all parts of the planet, And that first year was really explosive because that was 2001 and the towers went down. So literally it was sensory overload. Not because for me, coming from Bombay, coming from India, I was exposed to a lot of strife, riots, internal terrorism, etc., etc. So to me, that first year when I saw how the rest of the world lives and how New York reacted to the towers going down, they were really shattered, it changed the urbanism, it changed the community, it changed everybody's sort of focus on life, how they approach life. So to me, to see the reaction of that event on the city and on the community, to me, that left a lasting impact from that first year. That's what I remember a lot of my early New York days. Then, of course, I worked in New York. I had the chance to work in Paris with Odile Deck in 2004. That was another phenomenal year. New place, new language, everyone speaks French. I was working on a Mac with keys that I didn't understand. We were liaising with Chinese teams. So I think for me that every time I changed sort of geography or just the state of being, there was a new challenge. So I loved that. I loved learning and rising to the occasion, rising to the challenge. Then we moved back to New York. We were there till 2007. I was working with a big Jewish firm called Via Blinder Bell. And then we were like, what to do next? My husband said, let's have kids. I said, no, I'm going back to India. So that's when we decided to move back. Ekta and Rajiv had already set up Red in 2004. I loved what they were doing. And for me, with young kids, to set up my own practice, like I said before, I was all about collaboration. I just didn't see the pleasure in that. And they were phenomenal. They just welcomed me as part of the practice. So it was very fortunate. Wow. I was very, very lucky. And I still consider myself lucky to be a part of this practice. I don't know if I would be having so much fun in what I do if I wasn't part of Red.
Oh, cool. Okay, great, awesome. This is so cool. And Ekta was going to be a doctor, and she's become an architect.
I had no idea what this profession was. Unlike the two of them knowing this path, I'm like, no, surgeon. I was going to be a full-on surgeon. But life had different plans, and there was a stay order during our admissions. And it was because of the Mandal Commission, which was way, way before your time. It was basically about reservation and not allowing kids to, of certain percentages, to get admission. So, for example, you had kids from not so privileged backgrounds, which were allowed to be a part of this professional course. And they were given a lower percentage to be able to do that, which was a great thing. And I think it used to be 25 or 30%, and then that year it increased to 40 to 45%. And I think a lot of students had a lot of uproar, and there were lots of burnings, and they were burning buildings and people and God knows what. So anyway, long story short, admissions were on hold, and I suddenly, out of getting like a 96%, had absolutely nowhere to go. Yeah, I was fully A-type
from Ruparel.
From Ruparel.
96%?
Yeah, hardcore. So I'm telling you, I was going to be a surgeon.
Kitabi Kida.
Okay.
But anyway, so I had nothing to do. I applied to Xavier's to do. After 3 and 4 months of vacation, you're like, then at some point you're a liability at home, right? So my mother was, please do something with your life.
But you guys didn't have the same problem.
No.
It was only medical
Only
field
for
that
medical and engineering.
and
For clever people.
The reservation.
Scottish and Ruparel.
Yes.
But that year would be the same year that I... No.
Yeah.
But
I
went
was
to
a couple of
so
years
I was
before.
Yeah.
Same
I
here.
don't look it, but I'm older.
Okay.
So I actually applied to Xavier's for life sciences, thinking I'll do something in a laboratory, something related to science. I was very, very scientifically oriented. I used to make the most beautiful diagrams of the heart and whatnot, but very scientific. They didn't give me admission, saying you're going to leave for professional college in 2-3 months. We're not wasting our seat on you. So it was me helping my cousin, who was in architecture school at that time, doing some model at some point in the night, saying that, मुझे कुछ नहीं है करने के लिए. What should I do? So she's like, आज मैं architecture कर ले. So मैं अच्छा. It was literally as random as that. I was helping her cut and stitch models. I चलो apply कर लेते. There used to be a physical entrance exam. I went with 2 pencils and an eraser to that exam. And I was asked all kinds of questions on perspective and plan and whatnot, which people apparently take extra classes and study for. That segment I managed because I had an analytical mind. Then I had to sketch a pedestal with a sculpture on it.
Would you have been so easy because you could draw a heart?
But those were very clinical diagrams. ये axo तो आता ही
Magdu,
नहीं है.
she had mugged them up.
Yes, it's like two-dimensional diagram, very easy. Suddenly you have an axonometric, the fourth leg of that pedestal, कहाँ डालूँ, आधा ऐसे float हो रहा है. And people around me had come in with charcoals like pencil. I didn't know you had gradation of pencil beyond HB and B. I'm like, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5, क्या है? So it was crazy. I was like ashamed when I left that exam. If somebody has a paper out there, it should be framed on my wall. But because I was Magdu and my PCM score was amazing, I actually got into architecture school. And when I called my dad, he used to work in Ballard Estate at that time. Admissions were at JJ College of Architecture. I said, listen, I've got in, you come and pay the fees. He said, what have you got in? So I'm in architecture school, so it was so random. But of course, I think just going down this path of discovery of what architecture and design is, and just allowing your mind to not be stuck behind a book in a closed room for 12 hours was liberating for me. And I think just engaging, working in groups, working late nights, you work, अरे ये studio में तो music भी होता है, या तो models भी बनाते हैं. I was not going back, and I think I cannot be happier for that. I think I'm really, really happy with my career choice. I would never have met Raji if that hadn't happened.
Lucky
I would
for
not have
me.
met Myli. Well, you wouldn't have remembered anyway.
How would I remember not meeting you if I've not met you?
Anyway, so architecture school happened.
Nice.
It was fun, and then I went on to do a master's at UPenn. It was another, like Myli said, being catapulted out of this comfort zone of your home and family. I never left home like she did. I was always living there. And then suddenly living in a different country. And unlike Rajiv, who had a lot of family in the US, I actually had hardly any relatives.
Gujarati clan is everywhere.
Yeah, fully
Giant
spreading.
food.
So it was great. I mean, I made some absolutely phenomenal friends. I had a really, really good Brazilian friend and an Indonesian friend who I was in touch with for the longest time. And it was great. I think it was a great learning experience. And then I worked in New York for about 3 years, like Rajiv said, and then we kind of moved back. So that's been the journey.
But didn't you say that you shifted to Raheja, something to do because of her?
Yes, Kamla.
But she studied in JJ.
No, JJ was where our admissions happened. Na? वहाँ पे वो admissions used to happen. Right? We used to get a call. You had to
Entry
see.
exam.
There was nothing online.
There was nothing online.
Oh.
You had to go and see a physical paper stuck on a wall. saying,
Dinosaurs.
"Mila." Full dinosaur.
Okay, cool. So,
Karan got his admission beep on his phone. Oh, no, admitted. Oh.
No, he must have been the pager generation.
So I wanted to do architecture since I was in my 5th grade. Okay, it was my Nanima's house in Matunga. All right, and it was again a 100-year-old building then. Okay, beautiful Gothic styled architecture, and the family decided to sell it off because it was too much of an upkeep. Okay.
How sad.
Most of them had migrated to the US, and a couple of them who were here also very old, and that Pushtani money and everything that they had was like all gone now after that. Okay. So they decided to sell it off.
sad.
So I used to live like 2 blocks away. So every day with my helper, I would come and I would sit in that building and I would watch that entire building come down.
How sad.
Okay.
Heartbreaking.
But no, what I was doing is, okay, I was looking at the details. Okay, what is it, where is it, how is it going? And Preeti would often ask me that, why would you want to like sit there for like 4 hours, like,
Just staring.
So I was like, I want to grow up one day and I want to build the same house for Nani.
How
Okay.
That's-
So Preeti is like, oh really? Then you'll have to be an architect to actually build a house like that. And of course, I didn't know what it was. And that's the journey. So I wanted to be an architect since then.
Wow.
Thanks to my mother, because she kept fueling my desire to be an architect. Okay. So I knew that this is what I'm going to do. Again, I was not very good with my marks and my grades and all of that. Okay. So one thing I knew.
Supposed to be.
Huh?
You're not supposed to be.
Yeah, right. So one thing I knew that I had to have good grades in my PCM. Okay, rest everything was fine. I had gone to SEPT to see how the college was. I had gone to Mangalore to see the college. I'd seen like all these colleges. मेहनत किसी के भी लिए नहीं किया, but I knew that okay, I had to do architecture. Now 10th हो गया 78% and we're looking for admission, and you know how the admission process is. I was like, dude, I don't even mind doing arts as far as there's PCM or whatever that is. I just need this much. So I am standing somewhere, Preeti standing somewhere, and she was going to give a check, some weird 70,000 rupees new check to my tuition, for my tuitions, okay? Where the tuition classes had like some 75 kids and you studied with like 28 kids, okay? Anywho, somebody came and gave her a pamphlet of A-levels, okay, studying A-levels, and that it was only an 18-month course with 3 subjects. So if I had to do PCM, I could drop biology. And I was dreading that I'll have to take science and I'll have to cut frogs and everything. I'll faint there only.
But then my frog dissections were fab.
Bichara mari jaye. But anywho, so
Marila hai.
Nah, ये लोगों ने उचकी so that biology teacher in my college, so she would open the ढाकनू या manhole एमा ते वाला cockroaches ने पकड़ी ने लोगों ने dissect करे, मैं तो उल्टी जा रही थी. By God, thank God I didn't take PCM. I would have ran out or I would have fainted. So I did A-levels, okay, which is a UK board,
Yeah.
okay, thinking that after that I'll go abroad and I'll study, which didn't happen. I decided to stay back. Now the thing is, A-levels don't give marks, they give grades.
Correct.
And the grades come out in August and the admissions happen in June.
Yeah. Oh.
So, but anywho, with all of that, the only college that was really happy to accept me, of course, with an X amount, was Pillars College of Architecture, okay? So I had no other option, like I had to just go there and take it, and much later I got an admission call from Hire College, but then it was too late. Anywho, but yeah, that's how the whole the story went. But I was like, I'll waste 1 year is okay, but I'm only going to do architecture and nothing else. But so that's it.
Right.
So we've had like a...
So you're looking forward to see Nani's house built, huh?
Yes.
Inshallah. So I lost Nani like 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, that thing
She's
always
watching.
drives me. And then, you know, every time like we would go out, I would stick my gardan out of the window and look at like this horrible buildings being made in Bombay. And I'll be like, I am going to be the Messiah one day to like, you know, change the cityscape. But never happened. Okay, so now I have like, so these were like generic questions, one line. Now I want one word answers, okay? Like dhada dhad, you guys have to answer that. Can you name 2 warm colors and 2 cool colors?
Terracotta, mustard, azure, and lime.
Okay, current trend you dislike?
Any of them. I hate the word trend.
Urban or rural preference?
Urban, for sure.
Favorite Bollywood couple?
Bollywood.
What is that?
Fast!
Oh, I don't know.
Karan and Arjun.
Karan and Arjun.
That was not even a couple of brothers in the movie. They're not even people.
Well, of course they're people.
The characters.
Yeah.
Bollywood couple.
Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan.
They're not. She doesn't get it. Okay.
How is this relevant?
Because it's a rapid fire. It's like off the syllabus now. Okay. What
threw it off
emotions
the
or
Bollywood.
feelings are
Sorry, repeat.
What emotions or feelings are often associated with the color red?
Love.
Okay.
Anger.
Lust.
Finish the phrase. The way to get my attention is...
Through my stomach. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And frequency.
I'm the happiest when I am.
Laughing.
The one thing I can't live without is...
My food and my wine.
Okay.
Not your
What's-
kids. clearly.
Oh, sorry. And family.
And my family, by the way.
Ekta, what's your favorite hobby?
Dancing. I'm being restrained. Last panel, I said a lot of things I shouldn't have said. So, yes, dancing. We're going with dancing.
Yeah. Reading.
Rajiv, is that true?
No comment. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay. Name one place you would love to travel to.
South America.
Okay. What's your go-to comfort food?
Thai.
Describe your ideal weekend.
Oh.
Dancing in the dark.
It was so tiring. She's like, okay, we get that.
I would really like to sleep in. I haven't slept in since I have had my kids. And
Okay.
they've been 10 years old, but yes.
Okay, the last book you read.
Oh, I don't know the name. It's something that Iram gifted me, but it's about love, war, and and art. And it's absolutely phenomenal. But I don't remember the name.
Okay, name a skill you would like to learn.
So I'd started capoeira, which I really enjoyed. And I'd really, really like to go back and get good at it.
Okay, your favorite movie.
Gladiator.
Okay, your biggest pet peeve.
I don't think I have one.
Okay.
Do I?
Being dishonest. I think dishonesty would be your pet peeve if someone
Maybe.
said something and meant something else.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Alpha, foodie, and compassionate.
Okay, your favorite season.
Winter.
Okay, you did
Thankful.
very good. Rajiv. If you could meet any celebrity, who would it be?
Ikta.
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
Okay,
I have
fair
forgotten
enough.
her name.
Okay, name a skill you're proud of mastering.
Blacksmith.
Patience.
Okay, what's your favorite childhood memory?
We used to have a pole house in Patan. And I used to make paper boats and let them run through the gutters and chase them. And I, it's still stuck in my head.
How cool is that? Okay.
Yeah.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Where do Robert and Shefali come from?
Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Rotterdam.
Rotterdam.
Okay. What's your favorite type of dessert?
All things chocolate in general.
Okay. Name a movie that makes you laugh. Always makes you laugh.
Shameless. It's a serial.
It's horrible. It's horrible. There's only
is
him
hilarious.
and Ravi Wazirani who watch it. It is, oh
It
my
is phenomenal. It's educational and hilarious.
Okay. What's your favorite way to relax on a vacation?
I don't like to relax. I get puckered after 1 or 2 hours.
He does. He's very
So-
annoying.
Fidgety.
Yeah, it's annoying. So 1 or 2 hours on the beach and then I'm like, dude, I need to do something. So then I'll go find beach spots, anything. I need to have an active holiday. I can't do a...
Wow.
I can't
They're
do it.
married to the same person.
Yeah.
Her husband's exactly like that.
No, but he's not scared of me. Yours is. That's the biggest difference.
I'll train you.
If you had to eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Dal chawal.
What's your favorite quote or mantra?
I think perception is king. Truth is irrelevant.
Okay. Any historical event you wish you would have witnessed?
No.
Just say no. He forgets. Historical event.
I might have witnessed it, but I've forgotten.
Okay, so like I was saying that I'm not a partnership person. Okay, maybe one I don't know because you guys were dating each other when you guys started this and all of that, but I think that I'm a very strong-headed person, okay, and to have somebody else, like if somebody else was doing the admin part, I'd be more than happy, okay, but on the design front, I feel like I'm a very strong-headed person, and two people working on the same thing doesn't work, all right. So, and where you guys have successfully been working in a partnership, first two of you and then the third person, I have a lot of questions, and of course these questions are for also our viewers who want to perhaps get into partnership, or who it's very easy for people to start a company or have their own startups in partnership rather than just doing it alone. Okay. So I'm sure there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of thought processes, there are a lot of agreements, disagreements, or whatever that is. So we want to just look into all of that. Okay. I'm just going to throw questions, and anybody could answer that. Okay. So Can you share with us story behind inception of Reds?
I'm not supposed to talk.
Really?
Go for it.
So, I mean, this dates back to when we were all in New York at that time. I think I always, like I said earlier, had a life plan. I was going to go do my masters, work for a couple of years, move back, start my own firm, because the possibility of starting my own firm there just seemed that much more elaborate. Not that it could not have happened. I think Rajiv had an opportunity with one of his bosses to start something out on his own.
I was working for a firm, and my immediate boss was wanting to branch off and start his own thing, and he said, look, why don't two of us do this together?
Wow.
And so that was our sort of tipping point, right? If I started something there, having put in a couple of years to build something, you're not going to sort of then demolish it and move back and start building again. So that was one of the sort of instrumental decisions in moving back. The other thing, of course, Ekta already had in her head thought she'll move back. She was the only child, she wanted to be with her parents as well. My parents were pretty chilled out. They said, you do what you do. We'll figure it out, buy a house next to your house, and then we'll be wherever you are, whenever our responsibility is here with their parents and all that. But I think that was broadly the idea, and we had this amazing client, one of Ekta's moms, Dr.
We had a
Friends.
really good project to come back to, which we did. So, I mean, it was a big decision to move, but we said, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we'll do it. And we came back to this 110 square foot bathroom, which was...
You did the bathroom before we went or after we came back?
After we came back.
Oh, really?
That was the inception of Red.
That's why master's was needed. I need a
so
master's
we had a
degree.
master's degree, both of us with
But
2
that
years
bathroom
experience.
had so many things in it.
Yes.
Because there was one bathroom in which we had to put like 18,000 materials,
All the bhadas.
50,000 ideas, everything in one bathroom.
Yes. But we never we're not ashamed that we had come back to this
How
bathroom
old were you guys?
project. When we moved back?
26?
27?
No,
26?
26.
26.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
27.
Okay. And this was in year 2000?
4.
2004. Okay. Wow.
You were born in 2002.
Somewhere there. Late 90s.
Thodu agar paas mein. No, but so that was Red. I think, and I think a lot of people told us don't work together. She worked with Vandana Ranjit Singh, same as Myli, and so couple partnerships are kind of a norm in the architectural world.
For lack of choice. Because we spend so much time together, it's like, isme se koi dhoondo.
No, not that way. Couples from architecture students is one thing, but couples starting firms together, usually what I had observed is that there were roles designated. The man became the architect, the woman became the interior designer. Sometimes certain type of clients related to or wanted a man to represent. I think now it's a lot easier, but if you think back, a couple of decades back, the perception was that the man was the boss. So I think partnerships kind of took certain roles and partners took certain roles based on what clients' expectations were, not based on what individual aspirations were, but where there was a certain comfort in accepting a person of a certain sex in a certain role. And I think that was something we strongly avoided. By every time we were hit by someone who wanted a stereotype, we almost just said, ain't gonna happen, whether it was a contractor who would come to me and try to sort of say like, oh, Ekta madam, Myli madam, ye nahi, wo nahi. And I'm like, dude, not my project. I can't intervene. You sort it out with them. I have no say in the matter. If I say something also, it's not going to hold water there. Or clients actually luckily never. Have you bumped into any clients particularly wanting male versus female?
I think there's certain comfort. There used to be a certain comfort at some point.
But that's more individual relationship, or you think it was more
I
gender?
think when you we did a small airport renovation extension
That would have been
in
tough.
rural Maharashtra. And it had a lot of work to deal with government officials. And I think it was just wiser for him to have done it, though he was not the Marathi speaking man, but his Marathi got really good
I learned
thanks to it.
Those 2 years taught me I fumbled, I mumbled a lot. They made a lot of fun of me, but they also taught me. So I just became a lot more comfortable speaking Marathi. So which has helped me till this day. So
Interesting. Okay, cool. So, starting a business can be challenging. We all know that. Okay. What were some of the biggest obstacles you faced during the early days of Reds, and how did you overcome them, if any? None? Wow.
I think, no. I think
Like there were no obstacles. There were just situations, and you just like took it.
situations. Yeah, I don't think there was anything that was major. I think initially, I would probably say when we wanted to hire our first few people, that was very hard to get manpower, right? Because nobody knew you, nobody knows what you do. How do you, like right now, you just put an ad out on Instagram and it works. You get your inboxes flooded. Fortunately now, without putting an ad, also we have constant inquiries, right? Just the world has opened up that much more. Back then there was nothing. I remember at some point we used to have a Naukri password, like Naukri.com. They used to post this very spurious ad.
No, but to be fair, we were in Ekta's parents' old apartment, sitting on a dining table.
Wow.
That was office,
Wow.
right? And the
we used to take an afternoon nap and all. So
I would work in my boxers because the first year after coming back, I had time to take afternoon naps. I could walk around the office in my boxers until we hired a first employee. But the first, I think 5 or 6 employees were like few months and gone because they would also not see growth, right? I mean, any child who's joining a practice needs to see potential to grow. Then, of course, we had one of our clients, Vastu Consultants, who came. And he said, if you make your staff sit here and if you're sitting here, no one's ever going to stay. So I'm like, it's a dining table, yaar. मैं इधर बैठ जाता हूँ, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? And sure enough, that was our first employee who stayed. As bizarre as it sounds, right? Harshita, right? I mean, adorable child. She runs her own practice now. But she was the one who stayed. And then things sort of changed. But I think it's also when you look at how you look at obstacles, right? And I was having this conversation with the kids last night. And obstacles are like a series of emotions, right? You have an up and a down. But if you look at them with equal amount of sort of balance, that some days there are things that shit is going to happen that's going to make you happy. And some days stuff is going to happen that is going to be slightly unhappy. But you know that there's a swing side to it. And I think, so if you look at it as an obstacle, you kind of just glorify it too much, right? If you just turn them into speed breakers or you just, I need to find a way to avert a bit of a pothole. I mean, we're in Bombay, dude. It's a city under construction for the last 10 years, right? You can't even go from home to work if you think of obstacles, right? And which is kind of like how, Myli spoke about the World Trade Center blasts and how the US reacted versus I think to some level we're just numbed by the amount of stuff that happens to us, right? By default, you survive in spite or despite. I mean, you navigate through situations as they come along. So I think that approach worked out really well for us.
Interesting. Okay. So, as entrepreneurs in this industry, how do you stay innovative and ahead of the curve in terms of design trends and client expectations? Myli.
I think it depends on what you define as innovation. Sometimes you need innovation. Obviously, there's technological innovation. But sometimes you need to be innovative in your approach to design itself because of other restrictions like, budgets or location of the project or timelines. So to me, innovation is all about being clever and doing something smarter. So, yes, there's a lot of technological innovation that assists, like if you've seen our reels with Rajiv, especially doing a lot of, mechanical solutions. But what are they? They stem from the need of the project. It's not that we woke up one day and like, hey, dude, this is a cool, fitting. Let me just use it somewhere. There was a need that, this place needs to be flexible. And I'm sure he'll talk about it a little bit more. And that's why, for me personally, I focus a lot on innovation as a response to whatever that project needs more than what is trending. So, we do a lot of those sliding walls, etc., etc. But that comes from a need, the brief of the client, the need to put light into that innermost sanctum of the house. It's not just a trick. Innovation will come naturally, I think, because if you're solving a problem, then you have to be innovative about it.
Interesting.
So we in fact had a client who said, I cannot deal with one more Murphy bed reel of yours. Like, it should just not be in your projects. And I'm like, that's fine. Maybe we won't post it.
Yeah.
But the fact is that it's worked really well.
Right.
And I feel like people have opened their minds to it. And it's a great solution. It's not something we've invented. We've, of course,
It's been around for so long.
I think it's just been tweaked to make it more convenient. And every Murphy bed, there is an innovation in terms of usability, which is easier. But this has been in design forever. It's just that because it's out there, they're like, oh, this could be a multi-purpose space. And we live in Bombay.
Yes.
You want that space to be... You're not going to have guests, for 365 days in a year. So that 2 months that you have a guest, that's fine. But otherwise, it can be a yoga space, a meditation space. It can be an art room. It can be anything.
Correct.
So like she said, need of the hour leads to innovation. And I think just trying to be relevant, right? It's like just to keep up with the time. Like I think our Instagram account started during COVID because we had time, right? Like it's like, okay, ye kya naya hai Instagram, let's shuru karte hain. But it was exactly that where this girl in our office who handles the account now, and God bless her because she's young and fun. But it's she actually said that it's like you guys have been social media dinosaurs, right? It's like there is so much content out there. Why aren't you just putting it there? And it was exactly that. It's not like we made the content to put it out there, right? It's just that you basically document it, document things that you've been doing for all these years, and just put it there because it helps somebody do something.
Sure.
And the simplest of things reach the largest of audiences.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So it's
And
incredible.
all of every other designer who's been practicing interior design in our country, in our context for the last whatever number of years, has constantly customized details, has created new ideas, but just not documented it. That elevator wardrobe we did 12 or 13 years ago, right? And but there was, like, I honestly did not think there was anything innovative about it, right? To me, it was just what I did. Right? I never thought it was something like, oh wow, this is cool.
Right.
Until you put it out there, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the analogy for us that we were winking in the dark, right? So we were doing our thing in a little bubble of ours, which the select few clients who we worked for appreciated and gave us opportunities and allowed us to do it. But no one knew about it, right? And I think if you look at innovation, saying, if I look at a project and I say I want to innovate, versus I look at a project and say like, okay, what is different about this client versus the previous one? What is different about this versus that? And okay, so everyone kind of, like right now I'm obsessing about wardrobes, right? I mean, I obsessed about basins. I still follow through with that obsession. There are a couple of cool ones coming up. But now I'm obsessed with wardrobes, right? And a little bit is how eccentric and weird your mind is, right? But I hate the idea of wardrobes which open turn by turn. And I open one, then I look at the other, and maybe it comes from having too many things. And because India is sort of raging and consuming, right? Therefore, clients have a whole range of things. Now, imagine trying to use these different things which are put, let's say a typical openable wardrobe is one. Sliding, again, you can only open half. Then you go to any other form of wardrobe, you go to sliding, folding. It's still a little bit cumbersome. I don't particularly like the hardware that much that is currently available off the shelf. Just because there's a certain amount of jugglery to it, right? And that's how, and I want a wardrobe which is, maybe 15, 20, 30 feet long, but I want to see the entire walk-in wardrobe at one time. I want to be able to wear Ekta's t-shirt if I so choose to, right? This is not Ekta's t-shirt, you calm down. But I'm just saying that if I want to mix and match stuff, right? I want to wear my sherwani with cargos, right? But everything is stored in different places and, stacked away and stashed away and, दो लोग को चढ़ाओ ऊपर बैग उतारो फिर उसमें से शेरवानी निकालेंगे because I wore it in 1922 when I got married. So like these to me are irritating things, right? So now that it pisses me off, I'm presuming a client is similarly inconvenienced by it, may not have thought about it so much or overanalyzed it the way I do, but therefore now I'm trying to solve that, right? So now the challenge is 20 feet wide, 15 feet tall wardrobes available in one shot. But still dust free because we still live in India, still humidity free because we live in Bombay or any of the coastal areas. So now that's the problem to solve, right? So now there's innovation is a byproduct of your observation. So I feel the strategy for a new practice to address your viewers, if you're a new practice and you're starting something, I think your approach is to observe humanity, how it engages with the things that you create, observe the inconveniences you're creating with it, right? Whether it's, people who take off shoes at the entrance and then there's, it looks like a temple and I can steal any shoe that I want to when I go back. Different things, the finer nuances of your clients' lifestyles, right? And like whether it's an office project, whether it's a museum, whether it's across scales. Homes are of course far easier, but it could be hotels. Observe every hotel room you lived in, but observe and be anal, right? About the inconveniences and the finer nuances of how you engage. And you will innovate a whole new way to do something.
Sure.
I mean, the wardrobe example may be a champagne problem for most.
No, it's not a champagne problem.
I'm just saying that, no, it's not to minimize
I'm
it.
living in a 100 square foot house or a studio apartment, as humble as I may be. If I have even 4 cupboards in a house in a family of 2 or 3, those 4 cupboards I open and close. Ulta, I don't have place to open the shutter.
No,
Then my wife can't go behind or my child can't go behind. It's not a champagne problem.
Okay,
It's a common man's problem.
Okay, Rajiv is the common man. But if you look at...
Who has his Harley Davidson parked inside his studio.
Hey, Ducati.
Ducati, sorry.
I will get slammed by my biking buddies.
But I think if you look at even traditional indigenous building practices, they've come from innovation, like how you build in Rajasthan versus how you build on the coast. The architecture, the innovation is come from the need of, in Rajasthan you had to have really small windows and thick walls to keep the loo out and keep the inside cool. Or whether you're on the coast, you have a lot of veranda space, a courtyard living. So I think innovation and architecture go hand in hand. It's just, and architecture that stems from innovation is clever. But to give it a label, so like Rajiv now has an issue, like maybe 500 years ago people living in Rajasthan had an issue about wanting to keep the loo out, and he now has an issue of how to match his sherwani to his... So we've changed, our ways of living
Problems are different.
have evolved, but the idea of innovation as a solution has always been in place for space and design and architecture.
Ekta, could you walk us through a significant milestone or a turning point in your journey, in the journey of Reds, okay? And how did it shape the trajectory of your business?
I think it was early opportunity. We had a client, a dear friend's brother actually, who trusted us with our first architectural project, which was a rural school in Maharashtra. And it was something, well, it started with one school and then we did a proposal for 7 and then we actually ended up building 5.
Five.
Wow.
But it was, for us, it was huge, right? It was huge in 2 aspects. One is, it was an architecture project, which was a school project, which is already something which was fun, institutional, is aspirational at some level. Also, I think the time when we went and saw the way those students actually live there, it was heartbreaking. They used to be tin sheds in hot rural Maharashtra. They get baked in there. There would be maybe 7 or 8 kids on a bench which accommodates 3. Rest of them would maybe sit on the floor. It was just not, it was not possible for them to put their minds to education because you're not just able to breathe, you know. But for them, this was it. This was what it was. I think that was a great opportunity. I think we did some fun things with those schools.
And people who trust you in the beginning of your career, right? Yeah. You owe them your gratitude for life, right? That's a time when, like once you do something, you prove yourself, then it's easy to earn other people's trust, right? But when you have nothing on your resume, and if you're trusted by that person at that stage in your career, you'll always be grateful, right? Grateful for that opportunity, grateful for that trust, and you'll do everything in your power to never allow that sort of to go south.
Yeah, I mean, and at that point, we were just us, right? We made a physical model ourselves.
Wow.
We were doing working drawings ourselves. We were like everything. It was printing, running to a printer. I don't even think we had a printer which was large enough to print.
Then he trusted us with a whole master planning of a 93-acre campus,
Wow.
a 2.5 lakh square foot school after that. Like,
But that was the
phenomenal,
beginning.
right?
I think it changed the direction of
Completely.
of what we did. I mean, we had a portfolio now suddenly.
Wow.
So,
So cool. So, building a team is crucial for any business. We were just talking about, how did you go about assembling your team, and what are the qualities that you look for in hiring new talent? This is for all those people who are wanting to work with you guys. It'll be like
So wanting to work with anyone,
fair enough.
right?
Okay.
With any of the studios that are currently trying to do consistent good work, I think what Ekta does most of the interviewing ideally, but I think you seek out in order of priority, hardworking, looking to actually make a career, right? Versus what I call jumpers. So people who jump studios every 6 months, we don't entertain the resume at all. And I almost feel like talent comes later for me. I don't know what Ekta does when she interviews, but
I think, and this may sound flippant, but you have to smile for me. You walk
Now we
into my
know
room or
There
you
you
start
go.
a Zoom call, you have to start with a smile. It basically shows you are happy as a person, and if you're a happy person, honestly, you will find ways to move forward. And passion. I mean, I think you just have to be a passionate person. You may not be the most talented person, but if you have passion, you will find that you want to go in a particular direction and to exceed, and you'll find your path. I mean, to be very honest, we've had kids who've come into the studio with great portfolios, but there's just no drive, right? And if there's no drive and passion, you're only going to get that far.
like you need fire in the belly, right? And I feel that's the hardest thing to find.
But also humility and proactiveness. I think what I find that there is, as the younger and younger lot keep coming, like the humility levels are sinking, because I almost feel like, oh, I need to mind my P's and Q's and give you the right kind of work. But at the beginning, you need to be able to, you should
At any
want to
point.
learn.
At any point, you'll get the work you get and you'll make the most of it. The burden is on you to make the most of the opportunities that are presented.
Yeah, well,
And
we
learn
think,
from
but-
everything.
Yeah.
And learn from everything and be proactive, not just I was given this piece, okay, I did that, I'm leaving. It's what more?
It's actually something I say during my interview process. Like, the more you do, the more you'll get to do.
Yeah.
Because there's no dearth of work here to do. And it's not just work in terms of projects coming in, it's just work, right? In general, there is so much stuff to do in general with documenting projects, organization stuff, putting standards in place. Like, just, there's so much to do. And if you're a passionate person, you will find a way to keep yourself busy and productive, right? So it's like...
And learning.
Yeah.
And there's no, and I think this is something I say also a lot, is there's no shying away from, there's no work too small for you, right? Like when we started, we used to sweep our own office, we used to make our own chai, we used to do everything, right?
But we don't make people sweep in our studio anymore. You're like dissuading people. Rain mein jaake jhadu nikalna padega.
No, but that's so cool. Why not? I mean, like, if need be, why not?
No, I tell interns who come to us saying that you guys are wanting opportunity of project. Like, I'll have interns who come and tell me, I've been on an architectural project, can you put me in interiors? And I'm like, yes, that's fine. But you have to understand that when we interned, we used to cover books and we never asked a question about what? We used to make coffee, cover books, right? But the point is that if you realize that nothing is too small for you, you will not shy away from opportunity.
Right.
And therefore, you will make yourself better at that.
Right.
I actually have a couple of people who've come into the studio saying we've been away from practice for a couple of years because I've gotten married, had kids, something, not as confident, not as technologically, but sometimes they just have the fire, right? Saying that I have come back because I want to come back and I want to be this person who's good and I'm going to do whatever it takes. So after working, I'm going to take that extra, Rhino class, or I'm going to take that extra software learning opportunity so that I get better and I can improve myself. And that needs to be a self goal.
Right. So this is like who's who, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm
Got
going
it.
to comparatively test and you have to like point fingers or raise your hand. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Starting. Who's more likely to forget important dates like anniversaries or birthdays? Who's the better listener when the other needs to vent? Everyone has to answer. Okay. Okay. Who's more likely to take charge in making big decisions? Okay. Who's more spontaneous when it comes to planning surprises?
Me.
Who's better at handling finances?
No.
Okay. Who's
Not
more
me.
competitive when playing games or sports together? Okay. Who's better at remembering details from past conversations? Who's more organized when it comes to household chores?
Me.
Okay. Who's more likely to get lost when traveling to a new place?
100%.
Not really.
No, I mean,
Okay.
if
Who's
I'm
more
not following Google Maps, I'll get lost.
who's more adventurous when it comes to trying new activities?
Me.
Okay. Who's more likely to plan spontaneous weekend getaways? Okay. Who's better at handling stress in challenging situations?
I think Rajiv.
Okay. Who's the visionary mind behind most of your projects?
All of us.
All of us.
The
Okay.
clients, yeah.
Who's the detail-oriented perfectionist?
Rajiv.
Okay. Who's the master of budgeting and finances in your team?
No one. We're all bad,
Yeah.
I think.
Who's the trendsetter and who keeps an eye on latest designs?
No, I think it's...
Okay.
Terrible question.
Who's the problem solver, handling client concerns and mistakes with ease?
I think all of us.
Yeah, we have
We
to.
all
Individual
do our
clients,
own.
yeah.
projects,
Okay.
yeah.
Who's the social butterfly, networking, building client relationship?
Rajiv.
Right? I was going to point to it.
Who's tech savvy?
Me.
Yes. Yes.
Zomato.
Who's the risk
UPI,
taker?
UPI.
Who's the risk taker?
Rajiv.
Okay. Who's the glue that holds your team together?
Ekta.
Who's the mentor figure?
Ekta.
Okay. For your team.
For the team,
For the
yeah.
team,
yeah.
for the studio.
Okay. Who's the eco-conscious advocate?
Maithili maybe, little bit.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Who's the minimalist?
Me again, little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
More Maithili.
Who's the maximalist?
Little bit
Rajiv.
me.
Little bit.
Okay,
Okay.
fully me.
Who's the early bird?
Me.
Oh.
Actually, even Maithili is.
All of us.
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah, everyone's
No,
a
no,
Who
I
reaches the
no,
studio
I don't
first?
sleep at all.
No, office.
Studio
Rajiv.
first is me.
Okay, fine. Who's the night owl?
Me.
Ekta.
Okay. Who's the mediator resolving conflicts? Between the teams. Your in-house team. Often.
Ekta.
Agony aunt.
Okay. Who's the storyteller? Infusing like narratives and personal
Rajiv.
touches.
That's me.
Okay, cool. Done. Hey guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's podcast with the Reds. If there is anything that you'd guys like to ask them personally, put them in the comments below and we will make sure that you get your answer. And apart from this, if you'd like to hear more or somebody else, do let us know in the comments and we will make sure that we get your favorite designer on our platform.